Yeah. Yay. All right, we are live. So hello. Excited to be talking to Jay Diamond today. So welcome, Jay.
Thank you.
Jay Diamond is a love and intimacy coach who I've worked with a little bit. I know she does amazing work, even from the small amount that I've worked with you. And also just want to say we've kind of known each other in sort of parallel aspects of our lives in some way, but we've not really kind of come really close. Actually, it's kind of been a little bit like dancing parallel. But what I would say, just from that little bit of parallel living and dancing in similar areas, is I have really witnessed you blossom like massively since I've known you and been aware of you, like massively.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's my introduction to you.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes in just the last few years, even the last, I don't know, since I got pregnant. Yeah, a lot shifted then as well, and I had no intentions to be working after the baby, and it's like, if anything, things have become easier and expanded more, and I guess that's the creation energy of that. So I'm just sort of riding the wave.
So one of the things that stands out for me from kind of witnessing your blossoming and your growth and everything that you're bringing into the world and you've brought into the world is very much the story you tell, but I know it's an authentic story, from what I see and what I know from interacting with you, of you really have kind of met your demons and gone through some really difficult trials and challenges and created, or you would probably say co-created with God or divine or source, like so many of your dreams come true, in terms of marriage and really beautiful relationship and having a gorgeous little baby. She's adorable. You've written best-selling books, right? So all of this, and I know that people will look at that and think, blimey, that's like so impressive, that's amazing. And it's like she has it all kind of thing. But I also want to, which I always do when I speak to people, is remind whoever watches this where you've come from.
Oh yeah, like it was not given, it was earned.
Yeah, so I mean, for example, I read recently you wrote somewhere that you changed your name. So Jay Diamond wasn't your original name. I don't know if that's a good place to go in for you to kind of say a little bit about why.
So I have a different birth name, my last name, my family name, which was always an annoying name to pronounce anyway, because it's not very English sounding, because it's not an English name. And yeah, so my grandfather was a paedophile, and I was abused when I was 8, and he was a very prolific paedophile, and there was a huge investigation into him and a group of other people that didn't actually start till I was 17, but that case went on for years, and he was never actually prosecuted because they said he was too old and he was too ill by the time they got enough evidence to bring to trial. And I just didn't want to carry the vibration of that name. Like, I felt it just so didn't feel resonant to me to carry that. I mean, I had a difficult relationship with my father. I mean, the house that he grew up in was certainly an unhappy, difficult place to be. And so, he had his own path and his own growth with that. And for a long time, I didn't have connection with my dad. Like, I think I stopped seeing my dad when I was about 19. Have seen him, I think, once or twice since, but not really. Since that time, I've not really spent any long period of time with him. So when I was in my 20s, I decided to change my name because I was tired. One, I was tired that people couldn't pronounce it, and I just like wanted to let go. I just felt, and I'd done so much. Actually, it was probably only in my mid-20s, but I started on a spiritual path quite early. So I had taken my Reiki 1 at 18, which now I realise was quite unusual. I didn't realise that at the time. I was a Reiki master by 21. Wow. And I thought it was very normal that people could like see things when they were doing healing, because I couldn't see things out in the world and wasn't a medium or anything like that I was open to at that time. But I just thought, that's what people did. I didn't realise. So
no one else in your family had any of these gifts that you practiced?
Not that. My mum is very intuitive. My mum's very intuitive, and actually she took her Reiki qualifications around about the same time as I did. She isn't sort of fully psychic, but I think she probably could be if she opened up to it. Right. She's very intuitive. She's very empathic, I think. Right. And she's extremely good with body work as well, like body work and energy work mixed together. So it's my understanding from some of my teachers that it's actually Claire, I have all the Claires, but clairaudience is my primary. But even though I don't actually hear necessarily, my system interprets it through visuals. So I have very strong visual energies and like a claircognizance where I just know stuff.
Right.
So, and it's actually on my mother's side, which is the more Scottish side. So we've kind of got Scottish, Irish, so a lot of Celtic, mostly Celtic, a bit of French, and then something else that we don't know. So it's a little bit, it's like that. So yeah, that's why I changed my name. And so the reason that I shared, this is what is really important, I feel, in terms of facing shadows and demons, that conversation that you were just bringing forward, is the reason that I shared that is because I started to gain an awareness that I was very comfortable with the fact that pretty much most people in my life now know me as Jay Diamond. I was very comfortable with that. And the thought that people might know that I had a different name, might question that, might ask why, made me uncomfortable. I didn't want to tell the story, right?
Right.
So I did, because I didn't want it to have power over me. I wanted to take and reclaim that shadow and free up the power that had over me and share the story why, so that there are no skeletons in my closet. Because here's the thing, it's not the skeletons in the closet or the way we subconsciously hold ourselves back. Nobody else probably would ever even know. I mean, some people might wonder. It's on my passport. People have asked me before, is that your real name? But like, yeah. I think, yeah, it is my real name because I paid for it. And it's on my passport. But the big piece for me was that I had this realization that there's somewhere that's holding power over me, and I'm not having that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you certainly stand in your power. I want to go back if I can, if that's okay. Obviously, anything you don't want to answer, you don't have to. But just, you kind of just, well, not dropped it in there, but like what you're mentioning when you're talking about sexual abuse, obviously that's a huge thing. It's going to create some kind of trauma and affect you and affect then what happens in your life. So were you aware of how that impacted you then? Obviously you've done loads of healing and shifting, so it doesn't have the power over you now, but that's kind of been your journey, I guess. But like, what was the impact for you upon your confidence, your sexuality, your body image?
feel that certainly for me, I'll speak for myself, like I feel that sexual abuse is one of the most insidious experiences in the way that it kind of has this spider web into lots of different areas of life. For me, body image was a really big feeling, big thing where I would feel, you know, shame about my body. I would have different feelings and sensations that I wasn't comfortable with. I definitely had a lot of fear around men in some ways, but I'd very much repressed that. So even like into my 30s, although I'd done lots and lots of healing, I remember being in a meditation thing once about trying to manifest my soulmate, as I always was on that path. And I had this really strong image of a man pinning me against the wall by the throat. And I instantly knew what it was. It was this fear that a man can turn on me at any time. So even though he might appear safe, even though I might trust him, even though he might seem to be okay, that he could turn on me at any time. And I feel that there was a low level vigilance happening in my system probably most of my life. And that created, and it's not the only thing, you know, it's like life is very dynamic, there's different family dynamics, but it's one of the things where I couldn't at that time break down my walls to allow a man in fully, because very, very, very sneakily, even though I might, you know, say nice things and have nice beliefs and do all the affirmations and have a rose quartz crystal, and still at the back of my mind there was this belief that at any time he could turn. So one of the biggest shifts for me was sourcing my own safety, like moving into a place of sourcing my own safety. And I'll tell you just a very quick story of when this kind of started to unravel. So I was on a sexuality training, which was wonderful, called ISTA. And I, through a process of really getting to face this fear of being sexually assaulted again, so I also realised that, again, very, very subconsciously, I was carrying this fear that I would be sexually assaulted again. And that was stopping me from being visible. So as you were talking about my growth, and the business stuff is very much interlinked with all of this healing work, because in our bodies, in our visibility, if we're afraid of being visible, I was afraid of being stalked. I had an ex-boyfriend that had stalked me. So all of that was kind of keeping me small in my purpose-led work as well, because in the back of my mind, I was afraid that that would happen.
Right.
And in this sexuality training, I really got to discover something I'd completely forgotten about, which was this vow oath agreement that if I was to be sexually assaulted again, then I would just kill myself, because I wasn't willing to go through the heartache again. So I made a pact, and I don't know when it was, but I made an agreement with myself that if that should happen and I can't cope, then I'll just kill myself, and it will be okay, because I'll just kill myself. And then I won't have to deal with any aftermath. And that's what unraveled for me. And I'd forgotten I'd ever made that agreement with myself. And it was so deep and so subconscious and so buried that it wasn't until I was given an opportunity to kind of face these fears head on that it kind of bubbled up. And just like, I was like, oh my God, I remember that this is the agreement that I've had with myself. So releasing that was very freeing for me, because I had to become the warrior that would have my back no matter what. And I realized it's like, okay, so if you do something bad to me, I'm going to punish myself? No, that's not going to happen.
That feist in you, Jay, have you always had that? Or has that been something that's come through more and more as you've gone on your healing path?
I think I've always had a fire, but what I really know, and some people will say to me, oh my God, you're so confident. And the truth is, there are some things that I'm confident about, and then there are people who really know me and know that there are other things that I'm really not confident about. Like when I used to date years ago, I mean, I've nearly got off buses because I was going to puke in the middle of the street because I was so nervous, and my top lip would sweat, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so ugly, no one's going to fancy me. But like, nobody really gets to see those things, do they? The thing that has created that solidity with me is, it's not that I'm never afraid, because I often am. It's that I face each fear piece by piece by piece and take action. And it's the taking action with knees knocking, teeth chattering, top lip sweating, that has enabled me to build this internal trust in myself over a number of years, because I've had a lot of difficult things to face, a lot, like more than a few lifetimes worth of stuff, and I'm only just 40. And I didn't have to face all of that stuff, yet there is this drive in me which says what's possible for life. Like, life is supposed to be beautiful, life is supposed to be glorious, and life also isn't supposed to be perfect. And I let go of needing it to be fair, of needing it to always look the way I want it to look. But what power have I got access to right now that can just like do that one next thing. And so that's where the fire comes from. That courage has literally been built in the fire, from like being face down on the floor, like sobbing and wailing and grieving, and then refusing to die in it, really.
Yeah, I can really feel that. And I think it's really important. It's really important to share that. So when people look at you or me or anyone else now and sort of says, oh, they've got it so good, they've got it all figured out. Well, one, no, we don't have everything figured out. We're still learning, still tripping up, still like, and the power that you do see, the amazingness that you do see, comes from, in a way, I've seen this in everyone I've ever interviewed, really, and I see it in myself, but it's there for everyone. It's like the wound and the gift are like completely like one side of the other. So it's like you have this wound and everyone's got one. Everyone's got something. Everyone's got a story, and it's like, to find the gift on the other side, you have to kind of go into it.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Well, I see it.
Go on.
Similar way, but the wound is the gift.
Right.
It's like my ability to work with sexual abuse survivors who specifically have a lot of issues with finding love, right? Like I did, because of the walls, because of the subconscious fears, that someone else might say, well, don't think that. No, don't think that. That's never going to happen. But when something like that's happened to you, in your mind, you think, I know it can happen. It has happened. So just saying, don't think, that's not going to work. Like it's a full rewiring and activation that needs to occur. And so it's a bitter pill to swallow sometimes, but that wound, if we dare to face the shadow of it, there is, my God, there is like so much power available.
Right. Yeah, that is it, and I'm totally with you on that. There was something you just said that kind of sparked a thought, which is the gift being in the wound, and at the same time, the way that you were speaking, it's like, for somebody who's in the position of still feeling the victim, feeling like it's unfair, my problem's worse than yours, like, you know, you might have had this abuse, but I've had this and this and this and this and this and this, so therefore, like, my situation is worse than yours, and you don't know what it's like, because, you know, because I know I do that as well, so I know that's a human thing, right? So so what would you say, first of all, to that?
I love that question, because we've all been there at some point, and it's like the most disempowering spot. And to get to where you want to be, the first thing is you can't get there from there.
Yeah.
You can't get to where you want to be from that spot. And so the most powerful thing to harness is your own mind. There's a self-compassion that's really essential. And there's also like this sword of truth that needs to come down, which is taking a really good, cold, hard look at what results are you creating in your life as a result of that thinking. Like, when I think that thought, who am I, and what do I do, and how do I act? Because I know for me, when I was in a place of being face down on, you know, the carpet with this like mix of like grief and humiliation, that my whole life was great and I could travel and I could make money and I had all this freedom, and I still couldn't get love. I still hadn't had children. That was like the biggest burning desire for me. I didn't feel successful. And I had to grieve it out. So the self-compassion piece was that I had to feel it all the way through. And I spent a long time fighting that feeling. And I had to feel it all the way through. And it is not nice. And then I had to let go and say, okay, I'm never going to create what I want to create while I'm in desperation, while I'm in fear, while I'm in anger. And one of the most powerful processes, and it's a journey, you know, to forgive. Because actually what we think is that, you know, we're forgiving a person for hurting us, but like on a deeper level than that, what we're actually needing to do is to forgive life and essentially forgive God. What most of us don't realize is that we feel abandoned by God. Like, where were you when this was happening? If you're supposed to be the all-seeing, you know, all-loving oneness creator, God source, what about me?
Yeah.
And for a long time I really grappled with the suffering of humanity. Like, I was struggling with being on the planet because of the suffering of humanity. But who am I to dictate what it takes for somebody to wake up? It's difficult. But what I know is comparing your pain to somebody else's pain gets you absolutely nowhere. Withholding forgiveness only hurts you. Basically, what happens is when we are in a state of unforgiveness and anger towards someone else, we are drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And it never works, because we're the one drinking the poison. We're the one drinking the hate, the anger, the sadness, the bitterness. And so it was that for me that like really started to turn the key. Again, why am I punishing myself for what you've done in your unconsciousness, in your pain, in your like full-on separation from creator consciousness? You poured your poison into me and I kept it.
Right.
Well, I need to purge that. And so when I decided to stop drinking the poison, things really started to change. And that's the mindset that helped me. And I would encourage people to maintain, like, why should I hold this anger, this unforgiveness, this hatred? Like, why not be joyful? Because you deserve it.
You do. And I also know from myself again, and then working with others, that it can be quite a challenge to change an entrenched mindset, or to shift something that's so deeply buried in the body. And I'm working with the body at the moment in my course, that it's not at the level of conscious awareness. It's operating at a subconscious level. So, again, I really admire you and honor you. And I guess, again, the question is, like, what helped you shift the thinking, the patterns of belief, and then the sort of the stuff that is so deeply buried in the body?
Yeah. This is just, for me, it's not like I discovered one thing and then everything was like magic overnight.
Yeah.
There's so many, for me, it's been like and it's incredible, really. It's been a gift for me because it's enabled me and actually, forced me really to go and discover all these incredible techniques that we've got on this planet to heal, to elevate. It's really important that we take our wellness and our mental health and our physical, emotional, spiritual health as serious as we do anything else. So for me, like, doing work around really good tantra courses has been great. I've been doing energy healing. So I'm a theta healer and access consciousness practitioner. These two tools for me, like, took my life from being in a Ford to a Ferrari. Like, literally, because what it does, and this is why it works so, when people do my relationship programs or the one-to-one work, they move so quickly. It's because it goes into those subconscious, and because I'm psychic as well. So I can scan people or scan a group, and what are the thoughts and beliefs that are here that need to shift, and why are they there? So here's the thing. When someone is holding on to this sense of victimhood, when someone is holding on to this sense of resentment, there is always a reason why we think it serves us. And often we don't want to admit it, or we're not quite sure in the beginning. And often when I first start this kind of self-inquiry with the client, they'll say, there's no reason, it's ridiculous, it's annoying, I don't want it. But actually, once we ask the question, and here's a question you can ask yourself, if there was a reason that this would be serving me or protecting me, or think that it's doing me a favor, what would it be? And often we keep those energies or beliefs or pains in the body as a reminder not to do something again, as a warning not to overstep our own boundaries, because perhaps what we need to do is learn to say no a bit more. Or perhaps we become triggered by something over and over again, and every time I get into that anger, why do I need to react with anger? What do I think I'm doing? I think I'm protecting myself, or I think the other person's going to change, but of course it doesn't work. So for me, it's been a real mix of like tantra work, which has enabled me to go into the cellular structure of my body, to have yoni healing. I've had a few yoni healings of like deep trigger point massage in the body. A lot was kept in my stomach as well. A lot of like emotional release through my genitals, through my jaw. And again, like you say, some of that's just beyond the mind, and that's great. Dancing is a really good one to move emotion through the body. And so for me, theta healing and access consciousness, that's just like, my life just went like that, oomph, when I went on that path.
Wow. And this come back to, although you've mentioned it obviously at the beginning and through, like, now you're a love and intimacy coach. So, and you mentioned, so look, you know, here's this amazing, beautiful woman who experienced abuse as a teenager and now is a love and intimacy coach. And of course, like, look at the correlation. So again, I haven't asked you for details about your relationships, but I'm going to imagine that you went through some interesting experiences in what you said, your search for love, right? Your search for love, your desire for children.
I always thought that, I mean, I remember being 15 and being very certain that I would have children. I thought I'd be like married with a house and a mortgage and a car and 2 children by like 24, 25. Because my mum had me at a very young age.
Okay.
So I remember actually considering that maybe I won't go to university because by the time I finish university, I'll be 21. And then if I meet someone, I could be like 23. And then, you know, we have to have like a few years together before we decide to get married. This is my thinking, right? At like 15. And then, you know, by the time I had my first kid, I was like, oh, I'm going to be really old. Well, if I'd have known I was going to be 40, I would have been horrified. And so having had this like strong desire for as long as I could remember, it was quite the shock to reach like, you know, 35, 36 and still not have that. I mean, I'd led this incredible life of like traveling all over the world and going on tantra retreats and yoga retreats and going to India and living in Hawaii and all of that, and which was amazing. And I always felt like there was something missing. It's like I wasn't allowing myself to fully enjoy in the moment everything that I was having.
Was there then, like, I know, I mean, we both know it is a journey, it is a process, but was there a moment then when something flipped for you and like you had a realization that something, even though you've been doing all these healing modalities along the way, I guess, was there a moment of like a deeper recognition of needing to shift course? You know, did something happen? Did you have a realization in one moment?
What happened was I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw, I don't even know who this person was, a picture of this woman with her 2-year-old, happy and joyful. And out of nowhere, this grief erupted. Like I literally waved. This eruption came out of my body. And I just had like a small breakdown in the front room with no one else around, of absolute grief, of this like longing for a baby, this longing for a family. It was, and I'd actually been visited by the spirit of this child I'm not even going to go into that because that's another story. I'd been visited by the spirit of this child over the years. And so again, I'd expected that it was going to arrive soon, but that wasn't the case. So when I'd seen this picture, it poked a wound that I was really trying to hold very tightly on to kind of keeping under wraps and really trying to be rational about. And then the mind just went, no, there's no more rationality. And I had this grieving process that, you know, was like it was literally face down on the carpet, crying with like humiliation and grief of like, why me? Why not me? Like, what's wrong with me? Why won't this happen for me? Why is God withholding on me? I've done so much work on myself. I've taken all the courses and I've read all the books. Why are you holding on me? And I grieved. I fully grieved. And then I decided that I would let go. And this is what I tell a lot of my students who are in that same place. You can't get there from there. You have to be willing to not have it. You have to be willing to see your life without it. And that's what I did. I thought, well, what will I do? I thought, well, I'll still teach great workshops all around the world. I'll probably have a number of lovers. Probably won't be that monogamous. That probably won't be that bad. I might long for like a one lover. And then I just sort of realized that, you know, sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So that's what I did. I made myself vision my life without it and stop making my happiness. And this is the big my value as a woman dependent on a monogamous relationship with someone who was choosing to love me, because that then meant that I was lovable. And I literally took myself to the mirror and said, I'm going to fucking love you no matter what. If nobody else loves you and if nobody else chooses you, I'm choosing you. And bit by bit by bit by bit, that's when things started to change. There were, you know, more relationship. What I did is I got really serious about learning about relationship communication, relationship energy, not just personal development, not just manifesting a partner, but actually what is the ebbs and flows, energetics, and actually very practical stuff that makes a relationship work. And I just thought, well, even if I'm not going to have a relationship, which it looks like I'm not, I'm going to bloody work this thing out, even if I'm not going to have it, just for the sake of it. And so I kind of went on this journey then, you see,
right,
of like mixing all this stuff together, but without the desperation to make it happen. And then over the next couple of years, everything sort of came together.
Amazing. I just want to, I don't know if it's okay. Why am I questioning this? It's like, I know you're aware of everything that's going on around us right now, and that abuse is a big part of it. Is there anything you want to say to that? Because, you know, you're speaking directly from your experience of that, and it's something that's now coming up into awareness all around the world as a massive issue.
I think something around this is that, you know, we can often have this belief that, oh my God, the world's falling to pieces, what's happening? But the truth is that's been happening, and people haven't been privy to it, or we've just been in a place where we wanted to look the other way. And what's happening is it's becoming harder to look the other way, and as painful as it is, we need to not look the other way. But there are a couple of things around this that I really want to share, and everyone has a different opinion, and this is mine.
Yeah.
I also feel it's really important for people to take care of themselves at this time, especially if they are survivors or they feel and know that they're going to get triggered. And I know that some people will say, we haven't got time to worry about whether you're going to get triggered or not. And in some ways, I really understand. And in other ways, here's what I know to be true. When we are still running our own victim story, we are far less powerful. And when we are in a place where we can authentically feel strength, where we feel well resourced, that's, for me, that's the time to take action, whatever that action may look like for you. So for some people, it's like sending distant healing and sending that. People say, what can I do? What can I do? It's like, you can send distant healing to the highest self of every child who's available to receive it. You can light a candle and say prayers, and you can ask the Most High to go into the hearts of the officials. This is the thing that people are very reluctant to do, is to go into the hearts of the people who are hurting others and turn their face to God and have them cleanse their heart and have them revoke and reclaim, renounce the things that they've done somehow. For them, the powers that be and the officials, to see the truth and to act on it with integrity. Because a lot of this is around what some of our leaders do or don't do, and that will often be powered by what we do and don't do. So for me personally, like, I launched a course called Radiant Love, which is all about helping women to manifest healthy relationships, like not just relationship. This is like my Dharma work is about what is healthy relationship, because our planet is awash with codependency and narcissism and really unhealthy stuff, right? So what will it take for us to create a new paradigm of relationship where we're taking responsibility and we're breaking chains so that we can be free, our children can be free, the people around us can have a different example. So I donated $1,000 to a company off the back of the sales from that course, $1,000 to a company who help on the ground trafficked children.
Wow.
Because that is, I felt guided to do that. And the week before, about a week and a half before, I'd had a complete meltdown about what was happening, and I went straight into victim mode, everything that I don't want to do. But because I could see it, and I've got good mentors around me, I actually, had my own healing process, because I cannot be a contribution if I am going under with it.
Right.
And I was going under with it, Shakti. I was going under with it. And I just kind of had to really resource myself, go into my healers. I had to go to my mentors. I was having all the whys, I know this is planet duality, but it shouldn't be this much duality. It shouldn't be this much joy for this much pain. Like, let's just make it more palatable. But this is not what the religious texts of all different traditions teach us. They teach us that it is a place of duality, and we don't know the bigger plan. And I had to let go of trying to understand everything, but instead activate myself of what feels good for me to do. And so a lot of people have invited me into groups that talk about this stuff, but the energy of a lot of those groups is sharing a lot of really disturbing things, and I know enough.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Because you've just offered, a really beautiful balance of grounded response, authentic response, and balance, between the self-care and the immersion in that material, and then the negative energetic impact it can have, which, as you say, doesn't serve anything. But the one thing you've said out of all of that is I've not heard from anywhere else, actually, and that kind of made me sit up and go, oh yeah, is when you spoke about sending love and energy to the hearts of the perpetrators and the officials and all of that. I haven't heard anyone saying that, and I think that's something I'm going to take from this, actually.
Yeah.
But again, it can only happen from an empowered, sovereign, authentic way to do that.
Actually being able to do that is, that's been my life's work in itself. So does that mean that, what we think it means that we're letting someone off scot-free? We think it means that if we don't hate someone, then it's going to happen more, but it's not true. What I've really learned, whether I like it or don't like it, that love is the strongest healing balm that exists. And I can't say that sending that is going to stop everything, but if it turns one person, if it saves one kid one time, I'm happy with that.
Yeah. So I know we've mentioned it a few times, Jay, but you do so many amazing things. Like I said at the beginning, I had a one-to-one session with you, which was super powerful, super effective. And what I love is you see it and you say it. It's like see it, say it, sort of. You see it, you say it, and you don't hold back and sugarcoat stuff. But for me, that really worked. you have so many gifts, you bring so much, and again, I just love how you walk your talk. It's real, it's not a superficial thing. I know it comes from a deeply grounded, experiential, I'm doing the work, I've done the workplace. But do you want to, should we just kind of wrap up now, but you share how people can work with you and what you're offering?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's been lovely to chat. I know I chat a lot. So my website is jdiamond.co.uk, which is JAY. And I actually have like a list of like digital products that people can access to help them with relationships. So that's at jdiamond, which is JAY, diamond.podia, which is PODIA.com.
Okay.
So on there, there's like, we've got things from like £20 to like £1,000 of like 8-week courses, 10-week courses, meditations, so many different things. That the whole vibe of the work that I do is helping people to create healthy, loving soulmate love, like absolutely beautiful, blissful soulmate love, whatever that means for you. So some people want to get married and or reignite their marriage, then great. Some people, their first, I think everybody's first soulmate is themselves. So that's the real basis of my work. Some people really want to meet someone special and settle down. Some people want to have an open relationship. You know, there's so many different dynamics of how love can flow. So I really feel like there's something for everyone there. My work is primarily aimed at women, heterosexual women, but I have lots of people in my network who follow my work because the depth of what I teach is really accessible to anybody. So yeah, you can find me on Facebook as well, Ms. J Diamond. Yeah, and I've got a few like free courses that people can sign up to. If you go to the Podia, you'll find some things there, which are great.
Also, yeah, I kind of add to that. You offer so much value, and I did a free course with you as well, and it really was value. So again, just want to say some people do that, and it isn't really, you know, but you do offer a lot of value. And I love how you've got a range of services, like you say, from very affordable to a bigger investment, but nonetheless all great value. So thank you. All right, let's wrap up there. Even though I feel like we could talk forever. I'm aware you probably want to go and see your little baby.
Now, I've gone for a little walk. I'm sure I'll be back soon.
Oh, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, see you in the groups. And
oh yeah, on the group. So I've got a free group. I forgot to mention. It's called J Diamond School of Love, and you can find it on Facebook.
Yeah, and I'm in the group too. It's amazing. And Jay, it's like you just bring so much. You know, I at one point I was posting so many questions. I was like, she's not going to answer this because I'm asking so many things myself. Yeah, thank you, Jay. Mwah.